Hello everyone, you're welcome. This is The Insight on Equinoxe Television. I am Bablet Jonathan. Cameroon-born international technology expert and entrepreneur Rebecca Enonchong is arrested and detained for contempt of magistrate. She is accused of having disrespected a magistrate in a court case pitting her and her brother, an accusation she rejects as false. And after over 72 hours of detention at the Littoral Gendarmerie Legion here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, she was released after all charges leveled against her were dropped. Civil society leaders and human rights defenders condemned her arrest and detention as illegal and a violation of national and international human rights laws. After her release, she said it is just the beginning of the struggle for the respect of human rights in the Republic of Cameroon. In other news, Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Manauda Malachi, has confirmed the presence of a new variant of the coronavirus in the Republic. At least 15 persons have been tested positive for the Indian variant of the coronavirus, and this is a new twist of the coronavirus pandemic in the Republic of Cameroon, coming at a time when the barrier measures against the coronavirus are practically absent in the streets, institutions, and homes of Cameroonians today. And the new variants, the presence of the new variant is raising concerns over the health of Cameroonians with regards to the coronavirus. Now, in the meantime, some scientists from the University of Buea are now striving to curb or reduce the spread of the virus through a process known as mathematical modeling. And we're going to be looking at this and how it's going to help in reducing the spread of the coronavirus in the Republic of Cameroon. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is Professor Gideon Ngwa. He's an associate professor of biomathematical modeling and the director of the University of Buea's postgraduate school. Professor Gideon is also the coordinator at the University of Buea of a research project which seeks to use mathematical modeling to reduce the spread of the coronavirus. Professor, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bamula, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right. In the later part of the program, we're going to talk about Rebecca Enonchong and her arrest, her detention. But first, coronavirus. There is a new variant in Cameroon, the Indian variant. Can we know more about this, Prof?
The new variant of the virus has been identified to be in Cameroon. There are many variants which are being named to avoid calling it by country name because of stigmatization. They started with the alpha, beta, and
the delta.
And so the Indian variant is what we call normally known as the delta variant. I think we are now at lambda, which is in Ecuador. The delta variant, which is has been identified in Cameroon, is very virulent and is very dangerous in terms of its manifestations. But the good thing is that everybody who had been vaccinated do not suffer the same consequences as those who were not vaccinated.
And unfortunately, very few, we can say it like that, not many Cameroonians have been vaccinated to date. Many are still skeptical about the whole vaccination thing and so on.
It was very unfortunate for us as a country to be flooded with the social media, what we call conspiracy theories about what vaccines do to you, starting with the initial spread of false information that the vaccine was coming out of 5G and internet, and then eventually it's magnetic and all those kind of false information. It was really unfortunate for our society, which has caught on with the information technology at a fast rate to be inundated with this false information. where we come in as mathematicians.
And that has gone a long way to push many people away from
to fear the vaccine, and recently people think that the vaccine has magnetic strips in it, and it has a chip, it's the peace sign of the beast, and all those things, and that makes people fear taking the vaccine. And it is really, really unfortunate, because the vaccine really does help. It reduces severe hospitalization, that is symptoms, and it reduces death. But it does not offer absolute refractoriness to the infection. In other words, it doesn't prevent transmission. The vaccine doesn't. But the vaccine does prevent
this is severe manifestation.
Yes, severe clinical symptoms
of the virus.
And so it is possible for you, those of us who live in this zone here, you know that there is malaria, and many of us carry malaria at a certain level, but will function normally because our bodies have reached an equilibrium. So what the vaccine does for coronavirus is to prep the body to support in case you come in contact with this virus.
Right,
so it is not. If somebody says that the vaccine is a cure, it's not a cure. It is not. It doesn't stop you from being infected. Yes.
But it goes a long way, in other terms, or in other words, to reinforce the antibodies or the human system
to fight the virus.
Yes,
that's correct.
Right, and you are now struggling to helping efforts to reduce the spread of the virus through mathematical modeling. What's it all about?
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic. I want to thank you very much for giving an opportunity to talk about this. First, to let our population and our people know that we can use mathematics to solve many of our problems. And secondly, to show you in very simple terms how we can use math to predict and forecast things like spread of disease, spread of information, misinformation, and things. And so the idea is this. We have in a population of a certain size of persons a disease that is spreading. We want to find out how long will it take for everybody in that population to contract this disease. And if the disease is universally fatal, or if people are dying of the infection, you want to find out how many people will die at the end of the disease. And every disease has its properties, the characteristics of the way it spreads. How does it how does it jump from one person to the other? In the case of coronavirus, which is transmitted by droplets from the air, it is airborne, which means that if we occupy the same physical space and I am infected, then the chances of you being infected are also high. And so we use mathematics to find out what are the proportion of infections that actually lead to death, which are the ones that lead to mild symptoms, and so on, and how do we reduce these infections. And the process is simple in the sense that you have I'm trying to avoid not to use mathematical symbols, but
yeah, exactly, because yes. The whole thing is interesting, because we know that mathematics is about figures,
right?
And then we're looking at a virus. We want to see clearly the link between figures and the virus,
right?
The calculations that are being done with regards to the virus spreading from one person to the other, as you were explaining. How do you bring this together,
right?
Do you reconcile this and do all the calculations?
We as I said, every pathogen has its spreading characteristics. Those that jump from one person to the other by physical contact, and those that jump from one person to the other via an intermediate medium, like malaria has to move from me to you via a mosquito. Coronavirus move from one person to the other via droplets in the air, and therefore we understand these processes as contact rates, how the rates they contact with each other, the mixing patterns of the population. When the members get together in a common place, how many people, which kind of persons meet with which kind of persons. School children meet with teachers, doctors meet with patients, market women meet with the general population, and so we have these mixing patterns. And now we can ask the question like this: if I introduce one infected person in a community, how many persons would that infected person eventually infect? If I know that each person infects more than one person, we call that number the reproductive number of the disease. And if this reproductive number is bigger than 1, the number of persons that each infected person can infect is bigger than 1, then disease will spread in the community. If the number of infected persons that each infected person can infect during its entire period of life is less than 1, the disease will not spread in the community. So what are the measures that are put in place in order to ensure that the number of persons that each infected person will infect will be less than 1?
Yeah, you've probably done some research
yes.
with regards to the situation of Cameroon as far as the coronavirus spreading within the communities is concerned. What are your findings as far as the figures? There was a time that some medics were indicating that one person tested positive for coronavirus has the potential of infecting at least 10 other people.
The reproduction number for corona has been estimated in highly densely populated populations to be between 2 and 5. That's bigger than 1. That's why the disease is spreading. 10 is a very large number. Think about it. If one person infects 10, each of those 10 persons will infect 10 each. There's exponential growth. So if one person, in Cameroon, I think the reproduction number in Cameroon has been estimated to between 1 and 2.5, but it is not confirmed yet because we are still looking at the data to be able to actually tell what it really should be, this reproduction number for COVID. But COVID is a very, very contagious disease, and if it is present in the community and the people are interacting freely, then it shall infect more than one person because of its living droplets in the air.
Right. Now, about the new variant which is there, added to the one that was already there, what can we say about the speed at which it is spreading as of now with regards to the figures of one person being potentially capable of infecting 2, 3, 4, and up to 10 people?
Wow. We cannot give a definite answer at the moment as to that speed. But what we can say is that based on the data that we have seen so far from the emerging disease lab of University of Boya that we have access to so far, we can say that there is a positivity rate which is significant in the community. And it is not something that we can actually give it a figure and saying that, look, this is the number here, because we have to look at the larger data set to be able to make that prediction.
Correct. Now, the mathematical modeling, practically, concretely, how is it going to help to reduce the spread of the virus?
Thank you very much. Now, if one of the components of our project is to use artificial intelligence and to analyze data, this COVID data, through a dashboard. A dashboard is a repository of the data, the information about the infection cases. And the good thing about the data that we have, that the forms that are being used in Cameroon, is that it identifies where the person was coming from to come and do the test and where the person lives. For example, if you came from Douala and you came to Boya and you felt sick and you don't feel unwell, you indicate in that form that I just came from Douala. Now, when I put all this data in this dashboard, and then we can tell, if we look at the proportion of persons coming from location A that test positive, if they are higher than anywhere else, they will call that location a hotspot. That way, you can identify such hotspots, and you can draw government's attention to such hotspots. If we know that many people coming from Limbe test positive, it's an indication that Limbe is a hotspot. If we know that, and so we have been able to our objective is to map these kind of hotspots in the country. to see where is the melting point, where is the virus circulating fastest. People who live in town A and work in town B, you have to have information about mobility data. People who meet only with like healthcare givers who leave their home and go only to the hospital, they have a higher chance of being in contact with only the persons who come to the hospital. And those persons there, they will have to look at those data, use artificial intelligence to match all of them to see which ones, where the correlation lies. And so we write these mathematical models. They're sometimes very complicated equations, but with the help of computers and artificial intelligence, we can make a lot of sense about it, to identify the hotspots, to actually say which grade, which age group of persons are testing more positive, which profession of persons, what kind of persons are always sick. If it is mostly teachers, then we can think that transmission is taking place in the school more than in the marketplace, and so on. That is where our work comes in.
All right. I want us to go to the newsstands now and take a look at what the newspapers reported this week, and we'll be right back after the press review.
The Median says military victory against secessionist fighters from the northwest and southwest regions is impossible. The Herald talks of the motorcycle ban imposed by separatist fighters on the Bambui, Fundong and Dop Bamenda stretch of roads in the northwest region. The Guardian Post questions the ability of Anglophones, who are said to be inferior when it comes to heading institutions in the country. Gideon says the Southwest Regional Councillors poised for a showdown. The Horizon talks of Rebecca Enonchong's arrest for contempt of court. The Star throws light on the accolades given to journalists in war zones by the National Communication Council. The Guardian Post says CPDM's reorganization in the northwest and southwest regions has gone dirty. Another edition of the Guardian Post reveals that Jean Kwete is rebelling against President Paul Biya. The Express throws light on the reconstruction of CPDM's basic organs in the Fako division of the Southwest region. Another edition of the Guardian Post talks of 46 CPDM incumbent section presidents barred from contesting. The Post says no country can develop its economy by borrowing from the International Monetary Fund. The Horizon says Sonamin, the National Mining Corporation, is swinging into action. The Voice, the term reunification denotes a French Cameroon's colonialist doctrine. Another edition of the Guardian Post talks of the death of prominent politician Penda Ekoka. Cameroon Insider says sport is fostering peace and social cohesion. The Post, European Union governments are concerned over the COVID-19 audit report.
We're back with Professor Gideon Ngwa, and we're talking about mathematical modeling being used as a tool to reduce the coronavirus or to help government in the fight against this pandemic. And as we speak, barrier measures have practically disappeared on the street, disappeared even in the hospitals, even in other institutions, in the homes. Things have practically returned to normal at the time you're bringing in this project. Now, how far can this project go without these barrier measures?
That is, thank you very much, Mr. Babila. That is really the crux of our project, the barrier measures. We call them non-pharmaceutical interventions. The non-pharmaceutical interventions include washing your hands, staying away, social distancing, wearing a mask, and having the right kind of protection if you're in a certain kind of environment. The question that we ask is, what is the effect of NPIs on a large population, and how do we quantify what that effect is going to be? Now, first of all, to be able to collect data for this, there should be some sort of a response to this. When the government launched its anti-COVID barrier measures, only one who are listening to other stations, only the recording of the head of state where he's explaining people to wash their hands regularly. That's the only recording that is being played. We don't see a lot of information being told to persons as to whether they should actually obey with these barrier measures.
On Equinoxe Television, we have the message of the World Health Organization that is being broadcast again and again and again, almost every day at all hours of the day and so on, to be able to remind people of these barrier measures.
What we aim to do is to ask the following question: if everybody adhered to these barrier measures, what is the effect on the disease spread? I'll give you a simple example. We are sitting in a room, 10 of us. Okay, if we want to select one person in that room at random, you have a 10% chance of selecting anybody. If one of those persons is infected, then it is, and then you come in randomly into that room and you want to talk to any of those persons, you have a 10% chance of talking to the person who has the infection and with whom it can infect you. What is the chance that you who came in was masked? Even though there's a 10% chance that you will get infected, that chance for you who is protected, your chance of being infected becomes less small. Now, the person who is sitting in that room and has the virus, if he or she is also masked, the chances of the one sending out the infection to the rest of the population also reduces. So even though there is a 10% chance that somebody might get infected in a room with 10 persons, if the people protect themselves, that chance reduces to a very, very small number. And so the barrier measures are, they sound like social information, but they actually you can quantify their effect in the community by asking yourself, if people adhere to this barrier measure, what is the adherence rate? And the rate of adherence of such of the persons can be translated into a policy, which can now help in designing a response.
All right, the project on mathematical modeling to reduce the spread of the coronavirus will be launched, I think, Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday the 17th.
Yes, so what are you going to be doing exactly?
On Tuesday the 17th of August, we will be expecting to have on the University of Boya campus the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, who is coming as the official from Canada here, and that is because our project is funded by the IDRC, the Canadian Institute for Research and Development, and also by the Swiss International Development Agency, SIDA. And the IDRC funded program, I mean, it's part of, it's funding a consortium that is in 10 different countries in Africa, including Rwanda, South Africa, and Cameroon and Nigeria. And each of these units, centers, are supposed to be building this dashboard that we are talking about. And once that dashboard is deployed, it would give some sort of global coverage for Africa in terms of the hotspots that exist for this corona. So on Tuesday, we have the Canadian High Commissioner will be coming. We have invited the Ministries of Health, Higher Education and Scientific Research, who are like the supervisory ministry on these issues of staff in the university working on COVID, and we expect them to be there too. And we have our international partners will be talking about their experiences about corona, and the partner from South Africa is going to demonstrate to us how artificial intelligence has been deployed to inform a policy in South Africa. And it was even previewed that the Premier of South Africa might be participating via Zoom.
So we noted that South Africa has been one of the most affected countries in Africa, and the fight against the virus has been more or less quite effective.
Oh yes, and they have used artificial intelligence and mathematicians for policy making very effectively. And they have recognized that if we actually learn how to quantify these things, they can come to decisions faster. And that is why they are very interested in the project, and they are thinking of joining us in this our launch.
All right. So when I asked the question, what are you going to be doing, I was looking at not the launching, but the practical work that you'll be doing on the ground at the level of Cameroon?
At the level of Cameroon, what we hope to do is to let the different persons, actors involved in this disease to know that a multi-pronged approach is always more beneficial than just one side, because we have the frontline worker, which are health workers, the ones who are being exposed every day. We have the laboratory technicians who do the testing, and they have to actually get in contact with persons to collect specimens. We have the epidemiologists who do the forecasting, but we also have the mathematicians.
The mathematicians are now coming in.
Yes, now the mathematicians are coming in to be able to provide some sort of predictive and forecasting mechanism, which all those data put together can help in prediction and forecasting. And so we will be telling the stakeholders that, look, we're here and we need the data that is being collected so that we can furnish it into the dashboard, and we have a lot of experts and we are involving students, which is the good thing about it. We're involving undergraduate students in the project and even postgraduate students, PhD students, so that they get to understand that working together is better than being on one side.
Right. We take some interviews now. Interviews of the week.
The current Peace Building Fund project entitled Support for the Participation of Women and Youth in Mechanisms for Peaceful Coexistence and Social Cohesion in Cameroon. The whole country is targeted as a beneficiary of this project. But there are 6 priority regions that benefit from our solutions. So there's the far north, the North Adamawa, the east, the northwest, and the southwest. We all know that in Cameroon, in the northern part of the country, the terrorist group Boko Haram has been compromising peace and stability. And in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon as well, there's been a security crisis going on. And in the east region of the country, there's been the spillover effect of crisis in the Central African Republic. So it is these different crises that are primarily being targeted by this Peace Building Fund project. But beyond this crisis, we always have to keep in mind that the United Nations prioritizes prevention. And Cameroon, like many societies in the world, will always face different tensions, different forces of division. But as an international community and as a collective humanity, we have to work in order to ensure that our common humanity dominates and supersedes any forces of division. So beyond this crisis that I just mentioned, in Cameroon and like in many countries in the world, there's the necessity to fight against forces such as tribalism and ethnic divisions.
Madame Enonchong spent the night at the Legion of the Gendarmerie. There is no complaint, there's no written complaint against Madame Enonchong. There is no warrant of arrest. There is no summons even. She was called by phone to come to the gendarmerie for affairs concerning her. She went, and now she was held. Why? We are understanding that the gendarmes have said that they received verbal instructions from the Attorney General to arrest her. Verbal instructions? Is this how Cameroon justice works? Now, the Attorney General is the complainant. He is complaining that there was, I guess, something like contempt of court or contempt to a magistrate. I'm not sure how you translate outrage à magistrat. But which magistrate are we talking about? We are talking about the same Attorney General. We have been sitting here for 2 hours because the procureur of first instance here has gone to take instructions from whom? From the same Attorney General. So the Attorney General is the complainant. He is the one who has instigated arrest. Apparently, he's the one to judge the case. Is this normal? These are people who are supposed to be guaranteeing justice in Cameroon. This is unacceptable, and we will not stand for it as citizens. It's too much. We have already too many innocent people in jail who have no business there. We are not allowing another one to go in. They deferred her from the Legion de Gendarmerie today at 2 o'clock. Here it is, I think we are at 6 p.m. and they are taking her back to the Legion de gendarmerie without having done a single thing in her case. The procureur, the first instance, says that they deferred her late. I don't know who determines the time schedule between him and the gendarmerie. He said they deferred her late. We stood here for hours as they were throwing the responsibility back and forth, one to the other. The procureur is saying you brought her late. The gendarmes are saying you asked for her to be deferred. Finally, they had to go and sit and I think concert with one another. And it is at this hour that a new detention has been signed for her. So the judges now signed a new detention, and she is going back to the Legion for the second night in a row for what we call outrage à magistrat. So, I mean, we are really getting to the stage where justice is completely on its head in Cameroon, because a well-known personality, they want her back here at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Why could she not go to her home and come back here at 8:30 tomorrow morning? Where is that presumption of innocence? Why is it that nobody except government ministers can sit in their house while an investigation is going on? The absurdity of it is too much.
I am the family head in Douala for Equinoxe family. We thank God that she has been released. Let her go and have a rest. And we pray that it will no more happen. Since our father, our uncle, died 2008, there has been chaos in the estate. There have been chaos, confusion in the estate among the children. And to me, I think it is that thing going on and off. Since 2008, they have been fighting here and there, here and there. Some of the children don't want to see others. We have tried as a family to bring them together, but it's impossible. Like today, we are only looking away whether we can still call them to sit up and see the difference among them.
If anybody thinks that this is the end, this is just the beginning. The truth always prevails.
I have a lot of anger because we waste time, we waste energy, we waste resources in Cameroon to break the law and gather so many people just for justice and legal procedures to be followed. It is unacceptable. The other anger is that I know that while we have been able to mobilize for Rebecca Enonchong, there are tens of thousands of Cameroonians in jails who don't have a name, who don't have international recognition, and who are undergoing the same kind of injustice. So this incident has confirmed for us one thing: we must continue to fight.
The situation in our country calls everybody, even the authorities, but especially the church, because by prayer many things can be done, because we are serving a God that can transform impossible to possible.
We have to pray the Almighty Lord to prevent us from it, and that will also pray that peace comes within the northwest and the southwest region of our country. We are peace-building people in the Apostolic Ladies Association.
We are moving ahead with the process of decentralization, and it is important for this day, as it is being celebrated, for people to gather enough awareness of what decentralization is, and also in the in the theme of the day, how to use our culture, our cultural heritage, our art to promote sustainable cities and sustainable territories. Councils, regions, or local authorities have these competencies to exercise, and it is their duty to help contribute to the promotion of art and culture in their territories. And as they do, the second way is that art and culture can be sold. Arts and culture can contribute to tourism. Arts and culture can contribute to sell a territory. We have a lot of cultural expressions in the littoral region where we are. We organize the Ngondo, we organize the Kupe, we organize the Mpo in Sanaga Maritime. They can come in the Yabasi area. All this, as you see in other areas, can be moments of great contribution to the expression of the cultural heritage of our various regions, our various councils, and bring in tourists and bring in money that we need to continue to develop our regions.
These are 2 stocks of mobile phones which were imported illegally into the country. We have the first stock of 9 bags and the second stock of 2 bags. Because of professional reasons and security reasons, we cannot say here or show how these telephones got into the country. But just to tell you that we have an intelligence service that works 24 on 24. When the proprietor comes, he will now clear the goods with penalties.
We have to meet at the request of our head of state. After 3 months, we have to meet. Why? We have to meet first to review the implementation of the decision taken by the head of state for the implementation of the program of economic and financial reforms in our region. We have to review the impact, the consequences of the pandemic COVID-19 on our economies. 3, we have to propose new measures to fight against this pandemic, but new measures to protect our economy, new measures to continue the development of the economies of the region, new measure also to make sure that our economy will become resilient. We are going also to review the process of the implementation of the integrative project. This is why we are meeting here today also, to review project by project. 1, the progress made. 2, the difficulties. But 3, the way forward.
Thank you for staying with us. Those were interviews of the week. Professor Gideon Ngwa. What should Cameroonians, what should government expect from this project? As a fallout, as a contribution that can be palpable, that can be seen, that can be felt by the people.
Once the dashboard is deployed, it will be able to tell government in real time, just by inspection, look at the dashboard, how many cases are in which part of the country and what are the characteristics of such cases. We were able to see that in a very, very small study that we did, that more men went for testing than women. And even though more men went for testing than women, more women tested positive in that small sample than the men. The percentage of the positivity rate in the women class was greater, and that's puzzling, and we would like to be able to investigate this further. We'll be able to tell, let the state have a hands-on tool from which they can decide which are the age groups, the different classes of people in the society. We should have more effort, and then just knowing that the effort, the barrier measures, or the non-pharmaceutical interventions are working is something that government would like to be able to put a finger on. The second thing is the vaccine hesitancy rate. We need to be able to predict how many persons the government can aim for in order to get this much cherished herd immunity. The herd immunity threshold is the number of persons in the community that are that are not broadcasted, that will not be effective and therefore shield the rest of the population. In other words, it is you don't need to like protect the entire population to get it to be safe. There's a certain number of persons, certain immunity threshold, which once the number of persons is reached through vaccination or through other means, then the rest of the population is protected. We will always have those persons who don't want to be vaccinated. If those persons form a certain minority, it may not be a problem after all if the rest of the population is protected. So the issue of the dashboard, the issue of the information disposal pathway which we are proposing on this dashboard through SMSs and all that, and then the mathematical models that we will build during the process of this project will really come a long way to help.
How long do you intend to carry on this project? As long as the coronavirus is there?
We hope the coronavirus will not be there forever, well, so long, but the funding for this project is 24 months for now, and we have gone in more than 8 months down the line already, and the dashboard has been deployed in many parts of Africa already, and we are hoping that the Cameroon dashboard will be up soon.
All right, the Cameroon dashboard is not yet
it's on, but it's not yet live. Okay. Because it needs to be populated. We need to be populated. We need to have the right, correct kind of data, and we are still discussing with the different data collection centers and trying to understand how we should agree on a data sharing act and all that.
Right, Professor Gideon Ngwa, Associate Professor of Biomedical, Biomathematical Modeling.
Yeah, that's one.
Right, Professor Gideon Ngwa, Associate Professor of Biomathematical Modeling and Director of University of Boya's Postgraduate School, Coordinator at the University of Boya of a research project which seeks to use mathematical modeling to reduce the spread of coronavirus. Thank you for your time.
I want to thank you very much for having me, and I'm glad to be here. I'm a grateful follower of Equinoxe News, and I'm very, very pleased that you created some time to hear about this.
Right. Coming up in this edition of the program, legal analysis of what happened to Rebecca Enonchong, Cameroon-born technology expert and entrepreneur. She was arrested and detained, and after close to 72 hours of detention at the Littoral Gendarmerie Legion, she was released. All charges against her dropped, and it should be recalled that she was accused of disrespecting a magistrate in a telephone conversation concerning a court case between her and her brother, an accusation which she rejects as false. Barrister Tamfu Richard is a member of the Cameroon Bar Association and the Nigerian Bar Association. He spoke to Innocent Nazi in Talking Point. Take a listen.
All what is happening with the Rebecca case, when you look with a legal eye, you see that we have a criminal procedure code in Cameroon that makes provisions on such cases where, for example, someone is being prosecuted or is being investigated for an offense which is considered to be a misdemeanor. There is a provision from the code that if the person has a known abort, the person can be released, can be permitted to go home and then report the next day. So what is strange in Rebecca's case is because there was no formal summons. I hear that she received a phone call to report to one of the gendarmeries in town, and that's how she found herself there. After a brief interrogation with the person who called her, she was notified a police custody. So if that's the way people have to be arrested, simply you receive a phone call, no prior summons, no warrant of arrest, and you have to go through that scenario or a film before being detained is not proper. The criminal procedure code is very clear on how do you summon somebody if a crime has been committed or an offense has been committed. So we should instead push judicial officers to respect what the criminal procedure code prescribes, because all what justice is not being handled by personal interest where people sit in their offices and maybe because in powers decide the way they want to go about with our justice system. No, we say that nobody should be above the law. The law should be applicable to everybody, whether poor or rich. The only thing is that we continue to advocate for that. The proper thing should be done. The rule of law should be respected. The rights of procedure should be observed. And where bail is available, there is no need keeping somebody in police custody when the person has a known place of abode. The court is very clear on it.
And reports are holding she was leveled the charge contempt of court because she told the Attorney General simply that she wants just one inspector to investigate charges against her, and that led to the decision taken by the Attorney General talking about contempt of court.
Yes, though I'm bound by professional secrecy, I cannot really go into the facts of the case because I'm not one of the lawyers. But if you just want me to give my own opinion or legal opinion on what contempt is all about, what the penal code says is contempt to either a civil servant or to an authority. If she maybe raised an opinion that she wants her cases to be joined and handled by a single judge, that cannot be considered as contempt. Is a wish that she solicits that for the sake of justice, if there are two parallel maybe investigations that have been opened, it is but normal that those cases can be joined if they have similar facts and maybe they concern the same persons. So that cannot be a legal base for contempt, except she had carried defamatory facts or statements on that magistrate or whosoever. Except she has done those defamatory facts or statements, that is where now maybe, if it is not proven, because even when you defame an authority, if you have the proofs, then they cannot hold you for contempt. It's only in the cases where, for example, you are not able to prove a defamatory statement that, okay, you may fall victim of that offense. So I presume that if it is just because she aired the opinion that she wants her cases to be joined together, I don't see that there's any offense.
And then most Cameroonians therefore say, just like you, that it might not necessarily be the reason why she's been kept behind bars. They're saying it could be geared by her outing to stop the International Monetary Fund alongside other women from granting loans to the government of Cameroon because of poor management of this COVID-19 loans to fight the pandemic in the country. Do you see something related to that that led to her arrest?
Well, if her arrest has the political connotations, the persons who are complaining, or the authority, if it's the government authority who thinks that they have been infringed or maybe insulted or she did something wrong, I think the proper thing should be that a formal complaint should be deposited against her, and then she's properly notified of why they are accusing her, and if they have to arrest her or investigate her, then it is going to follow a due course. But we should all hide behind political maybe maneuvers to intimidate Cameroonians because because those authorities feel that they are in seat of powers. We are the one who mandated them, who gave them the power. So they should not use their high offices to intimidate Cameroonians when they are expressing maybe a political view which is contrary to what is being preached. So I want to believe that if the government is trying to rely on maybe her political stand to like intimidate, that they are doing it to the wrong person, because the person I know, we all know how influential she is. Such persons should instead be encouraged to come back home and share all what she has been able to obtain. We know the image of Cameroon that she has propelled at the international level, and if we have to settle political scores in this way, then it's a shame to Cameroon and to the Cameroonian government. So such attitudes should not be encouraged, and we should look for other means to maybe settle political scores, not this one.
At this level, do you think she has the right to maybe take the case to another level for being jailed for 3 days?
Yes, she can file in for compensation, because there is a procedure, there is a commission at the Supreme Court where if you consider that your detention was illegal and arbitrary, and that you suffered some damages, you are free to table your complaint before that commission, and it's going to be examined, and if possible, you'll be paid some compensation. She has been for maybe 3 days. If no complaint, nothing was presented to her, then she might consider such an arrest or detention arbitrary. And if she had suffered some damages, she's free to complain.
And that was Barrister Tamfu Richard analyzing the case concerning Rebecca Equinoxe, Cameroon-born international technology expert, an entrepreneur, and issues of violation of human rights in the Republic of Cameroon. And this is where we end this edition of The Insight. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye.